Lindsay and Bree are here. Say hi, everybody.
Hi.
Yeah, you can look right at the camera. People are right up there.
Hey.
Yeah. Bam. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Oh, shit. I don't know what my stuff is.
You're our breezy F baby now.
Yeah, like Wheezy F baby. But I couldn't spell it for you if I wanted to.
Neither could I.
So that's how much I care about the social media aspect, I guess.
Much better.
Social media game strong.
Yeah. I try.
Yeah. And you can find me at Callaway Hair Co. on Instagram is really the only thing I'm on.
That's the easiest way to communicate. Jesse?
Cromulent Jesse, everywhere.
Everywhere.
Perfectly cromulent. Do it.
You know, I was in another Twitch chat the other night, and somebody said something was perfectly cromulent, and I was like, "Yo, you know what?"
We won't self promote here.
Well, it was when I was fucking around trying to like make the bot and stuff like that. So I was in between accounts, and
you're like, I'm gonna get roped into a conversation, and I just don't wanna.
I don't have time. I don't have time right now. So today we gathered to discuss astral projection and remote viewing. I have a little bit of information on it and a transcript from the CIA about astral projecting to Mars. So that'll be fun. Some of you might remember this from Serial Chillers. Some of you might not. But I also have a little good news, a little bad news. I'll just get that out of the way now. The good news is I made Twitch affiliate, so that's fun for me. Also fun for you because you can do cool stuff in the chat. You know, there's games you can play in the chat, text-based games. There's heists. You get channel points for watching. You get emojis or emotes if you subscribe. They're little faces of me and the little logo that's over here.
Who wouldn't want that?
Yeah, it's awesome. There's the little hellagregLIVE. There's the
I
hella
have
bomber.
it.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a Twitch account now just so I can get one.
I hope you do. I really hope you do. The bad news that comes with it is this is the last time I'm going to be able to stream to YouTube and Facebook. I can put the videos up after 24 hours, but as of tonight, this is going to be the last time I stream to YouTube or Facebook and do the show like that. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, you can subscribe to Twitch. It's super easy. There's a lot of benefits to it. And it helps me out if you throw that little free sub that you get when you link them together my direction. Jesse, you look like you have something.
Yeah, I was just don't be intimidated by Twitch. It's so easy to use. It's like watching free TV.
And it's fun.
And you literally need an email address and a username. So
and it's the one you use for your Amazon Prime account.
Yeah, so use that email address so you can link them.
Is it for just gamers?
No, absolutely not.
No,
people do makeup, people do art, people do DJing.
I
watch
people
sometimes
do live shows that you can call in on.
I think my brother has done like DJing stuff on Twitch. That sounds familiar.
There are a few just like music pages where like people will have people come in and do like acoustic sets. There's
body painting.
There's literally one of the biggest categories is called just chatting, and it's just streamers and people sitting there just chatting.
Interesting.
But yes, I just wanted to everybody who's watching from the other platforms, like to not be intimidated at all and to message me or message Greg and like we'll walk you through whatever you need to learn with it. But it's so easy. Almost everybody's got an Amazon account too, so you can link that up and for free you can literally financially help Greg. It takes nothing from you. You click that Prime subscription and it helps hellagregLIVE. So
and that cool stuff that you do when you do help makes the show better. So I'm breaking all the rules tonight, but the uploads of the videos and stuff, if you like to watch it back, will be on Thursdays. The podcast will be out on Thursdays. So yeah, that's fun. Look into it. Trust me, it's worth it. Like Jesse said, if you're interested, you can message either one of us and we'll get you all set up.
I changed my mind. Just message Greg.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure I have one. I just don't use it because I listen to Page 7 and they
talk about Twitch all the time.
Yeah, they do it all the time. And so I just wanted to watch something one night. So I think I have one.
The thing about Twitch too is that this allows Greg and I to be far more interactive than we've ever been able to be with fans. Because generally we used to shows were recorded a month in advance.
Yeah.
So by the time
we were on top of things.
Right. Yeah. People would be like, oh, this and that. And I'd be like, I have no fucking idea what you're talking about. I don't remember that. It was 5.5 weeks ago.
I literally put that poison out of my brain.
So at this, it's like the other night I played games and Greg was there and Greg helps. We help each other in our channels. It's a wonderful thing. We, keep the chat going and stuff. And, you know, like we got to just hang out with people for like an hour. There were no games being played, nothing. It's just like this. We just get to, we're able to be far more interactive than we were ever able to be there. And that's a cool part about this. So that's why I encourage everybody to get there. Because it is king.
To check it out for sure.
So all that being said, we'll enjoy our last time out on all 3 platforms at one time. We'll go out with a bang. We'll go out with astral projection and remote viewing. I know you guys are excited. I can tell by your faces. Is it secret spy stuff? Is it a spiritual connection to the physical world? Either way, we're going to learn. We're going to figure it out. So feel free to chime in. 805-666-2513. Shit, I forgot to put the voice line up. Let me get that fixed.
I've already called twice.
Fuck. You would. Just to point it out. Oh, yeah, look at that. 3 missed calls. Fuck. That's, you know what? This isn't even the right link. Oh, I'm dropping the ball left and right. Okay, I've got it up. It's going to be loud, I'm sure of it when it rings, if it rings. But boom, 805-666-2513. It's there. So now we'll do astral projection and remote viewing, shall we? Do you guys know what it is?
I listened to an old segment from Coast to Coast AM this morning because I wanted to be a little bit prepared. And
which one was it?
Some guy talking about astral projection. He said that he has been able to do it since he was 4 years old. He was just like natural.
Was it the little 20-minute one that shows up on YouTube, or was it the full one with? I
had looked it up on Spotify.
Okay.
And so yeah, it was just an old.
It's like 2 hours long.
No, it was literally just like a 20-minute segment of George Norrie interviewing this guy. And it sounds very interesting. I think this guy might be full of shit that he said he could do it since he was 4 years old. But
I think I'm pretty sure I know which one you're talking about, and I was really skeptical of that guy as well.
Okay.
I remember listening to that and thinking, you know what, this guy, because
He
there
said
was
he,
something
went to
about a
the edge
camp.
of the universe.
There was
and-
something about a camp that he went to for it too, right? Or where he studied under somebody to learn how to do it. And
Yeah.
It was called Hogwarts.
Yeah, it was that guy. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I did not like that interview.
That's kind of like
suspicious.
that's all the research I did for the episode tonight.
Hey, that's more than me.
So unlike Lindsay, I did no research. I wanted to be completely surprised when I came.
That's
here,
what I say when I'm unprepared too.
That's so not to appear better than anybody here, but I wanted Greg to teach me something. So.
Well, I copied and pasted a bunch of stuff from an article, so we're all going to be surprised. No, astral projection is, or astral travel is a term used in esotericism to describe a willful out-of-body experience. This assumes the existence of a soul or consciousness called an astral body that is separate from the physical body and capable of traveling outside it through the universe. So it's your spiritual self, it's your soul, and
man.
Yeah, and it gets out there in the universe, and apparently everything I've heard is it's tethered to you by a what do they call it, a silver cord.
So that's kind of the part they talked about on Coast to Coast
Yeah.
that I thought was interesting was when you die, the cord is cut, but when you're projecting, you stay tethered
Yeah,
to your body. I thought that was
Donnie
really
Darko
interesting.
like?
it's a leash. It's a way to
I still don't understand Donnie Darko after watching it like 50 fucking times.
Why are you still watching it then?
I don't. Because I
Just
want
kidding.
to understand.
Yeah,
Jake
yeah.
Gyllenhaal, dude.
Yeah.
That's why I watch it. So yeah, there's people who, for spiritual purposes, would project their spiritual self out of the body. A lot of it was like a vision quest. People hallucinogenics were involved a lot, especially once the government got involved. They spent a lot of money looking for mushrooms in South America and trying to recreate that experience.
Just a bunch of government agents flipping over cow pies.
That's dumb.
Come
You could
on,
grow 'em in a
man.
closet.
Come on. Are there any here?
Yeah, it was. Hey, thanks, Kristen. Appreciate you. So no, there's a mushroom they called the flesh of God, and like one guy found it, and they were like, "Yo, this is dope! Like this little civilization over here likes to munch on this," and they get a spiritual thing out of it. They're out of their body. They're able to observe their self third person. And he's like, okay, this is cool. And he let somebody in the CIA know about it, and they were like, okay, we're gonna spend a lot of dough to go down there. Not a lot of dough, but like comparatively speaking, in the the 50s, they're dropping $100,000 to send these guys to South America for 6 weeks to search for mushrooms to trip their nuts off. So,
Sounds like a good time.
I'm down.
and everybody told me government work would be boring. They're like, government jobs would suck. Oh,
I
really?
was gonna go for the DMV, but damn it, I'm so glad I went here.
Well, it was a toss up between DMV and drug squad.
Chose well.
So, that was the thing that they actually did. But I do want to say a lot of this stuff, a lot of the astral projection stuff, like we just talked about, is a little fishy. Because you got to believe. The more you believe in it, the more open to it you are. The more the doors open, the more powerful it is. So
I think it could absolutely be done. I don't know if it can be done without the assistance of drugs. But I know nothing about the subject. I have talked to people that have had those experiences, but they've been on drugs.
yeah.
So
Well, I mean, if anybody has ever watched Joe Rogan, you know that like the first thing he does is like, you ever done DMT? and it's
Humans are like cancer on the earth, which is like the bread.
I just saw little elves dancing around and giving me the finger. Like
please don't.
Yeah, so it's like drugs are a complex thing that not a lot of people can handle, and so I say if you're gonna do it, proceed with caution. That's my
Or don't fucking wow out, bro.
Let's do them all.
We need more videos on took too much.
What was that? We have a friend who said he told somebody, "Hey, do extra for me."
Okay.
So a lot of what took place is allegedly. There are some factual things, and I'll talk about the factual things, but allegedly.
Allegedly is the ostrich.
I don't understand that reference.
Letterkenny.
Allegedly.
The ostrich. They fucked the ostrich.
I
Allegedly.
knew I was okay.
Must have been a sick ostrich.
Literally, as he was saying allegedly, I was like, it kept ringing in my head like allegedly, and I don't know why. That's where it's from. Duh.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
A lot of people miss the Letterkenny references, from what I've heard, but
It's because of you guys. Now, every time they say, what is it?
To be fair.
To be fair.
To be fair.
Anytime somebody says to be fair, I repeat it like 4 times in my head.
have to.
I can't not.
It's a
do
law.
it anymore.
Yeah.
It's a law.
But it sucks when nobody else around you fucking
Just do it
understands
anyway.
what you're talking
Be
about.
loud and be proud.
That's right. So also, to some point, aliens get involved in this because they think that's it was a theory. I don't really want to get into it much because I think it's pretty asinine, but there's a theory that aliens are your astral self. Like it's time traveling and it's your astral self, and it's not a real.
So that's kind of like the part that I was like more interested to hear from you, because I don't know the connection between like aliens and astral projection, but I have heard
That's
in passing.
That's
before.
about it. Like,
Okay.
I mean, that they use it's telekinesis.
Okay.
Being able to
with our alien self.
No, it's more like, so there's people like Uri Geller, which we'll talk about, and what's the guy with the dope ass name? Ingo Swann. And
That is a dope ass name.
right. So those guys were able to do things with their mind, move things. Uri Geller was able to restart broken watches, bend spoons. In fact, I've got a video queued up that I'm going to show you of him doing it like real time, so you can see what he does. And we'll share it with the rest of the class, but but I forgot what I was going to say. No, I didn't. There's videos of him doing that stuff. It's telekinesis, and aliens allegedly use telekinesis to move stuff with their mind, to be able to plant thoughts, which Ingo Swann was able to do, allegedly. And see, this is going to get repetitive. That's why I wanted to get it out of the way at the beginning. But basically, that's it. That's that they are alien because they're telekinetic, or that aliens are your astral self. So there's
Interesting.
yeah, sort of. I think. I mean, I think it's cool because telekinesis is cool. Like, did you ever see Powder?
No, but I
did see Matilda.
We talk about Powder a lot for a movie that nobody watches, right?
I
think
feel
a
like
lot
I
of
talk
people
about
know
Powder
about
a lot
it.
for somebody who hasn't seen Powder in the last 5 years.
We talked about Powder last week, didn't
I know,
we?
and I haven't. I still haven't seen it in the last 5 years.
I
It's
for
just-
sure haven't seen it since I was a kid.
Oh, I was going to say, same. I haven't seen it in 20 years, but I know it exists. I know what it's about, and I know it's fucking powerful, man.
Is it about an albino?
Yeah.
Oh, then I have seen
Well,
it.
there's more to it than
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
but
Well, I mean,
At the base of things, yeah, you're
okay.
not wrong.
If I were to say albino movie, people would be like,
Yeah. Powder,
Yeah.
for sure,
Yeah.
powder.
Powder.
I've seen it.
No, we watch Matilda like 5 times a year in my house.
There you go.
I
Yeah.
feel like that's more relatable.
When I hear
reference.
telekinesis, though, I think of Superstar and Molly Shannon.
Yeah, but wasn't Matilda more like magic? She was like magic,
No,
wasn't
she did all that stuff with her
Yeah.
mind.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't think I ever really watched Matilda.
She was a bad little bitch, dude.
I
just
take
remember
her
Danny
over
DeVito.
11. For
Yeah,
sure.
Danny DeVito.
Yeah, that's all. That's the only part of that movie I
Did you know he
remember.
directed it?
I did.
Yes, he
He's
directed
incredible.
Yeah.
Everything
Okay.
he does.
He's a national treasure.
it. He really is.
Mantis toboggan.
He needs to be protected.
At all
So
costs.
so some of this information came from YouTube videos with almost no production value. Some of it came from what I'm just going to call the internet at large, and some of this stuff came from the CIA library. But the CIA used people who were allegedly able to use telekinesis to manipulate their surroundings. As an example, like I said, Uri Geller. Let's see if I can get the right screen here. Is that it? That is. Okay. Here is Uri Geller bending a spoon.
When I was 5 years old, I was eating soup, and the spoon bent in my hand, and this is what I do, watch. I melt, this is not my spoon, I melt the metal down, I'll just rub it very gently, and I say melt, here it's going, I can feel it, it's becoming soft. The metal becomes soft, look, almost like plastiline, and if I'll shake the spoon, it'll just break.
What the?
Take that, that's yours.
I have a theory.
Hold on, save it for the end.
The other demonstration is, watch, I can melt my fingerprint into the metal. This will take me a little longer. Just watch this, Dana. There, it's happening. I can feel it. Let me just take my finger off.
Wait. You have to do it for the bar mitzvah boy. Come here.
No, I'm coming to his bar mitzvah.
Come here. I want to make sure you come up here a second. Tomorrow morning.
This is the one that impresses me the most.
Thank you, everyone.
He rubs the top of it and it bends upward. So, yeah, that's Uri Geller, and that's the things that he did. So, the CIA legitimately thought that was worthy enough to spend a buttload of money and like more than a decade of research on. So, that's fun.
Can I give my theory?
Yeah, I wanna
Yeah,
hear your
please.
theory.
Gallium. Gallium's like a hard metal that melts at 98.6 degrees.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's what I was
So
going
if
to
it
ask
was like
too.
made of thick gallium and he just did a bunch of friction.
Right,
and
got it up a little hotter.
Yeah.
Like, let's give him a spoon that he didn't produce.
Well, that's what I always
No,
like to
that's
see.
what they did. They brought him a second spoon, and that's when he did the
I
thumbprint.
thought I saw it come from like his little, because there was like a shit ton of spoons in one area.
It was a plant spoon.
I feel like it was a planted spoon.
I'm not going to say whether you're right or wrong because I've been listening to a book about this guy, not this guy specifically, but he's involved heavily in it because of the subject matter. And like I said, he's restarted watches live on the radio. He was sitting there, with the DJ in the booth and placed a broken watch down. The DJ brought a broken watch or a clock from home and was like, "Go ahead, let's see it." And he was able to make it restart and start working. Same thing. He bent a spoon live on the air, and it really blew some minds. He tried to do something on Carson, and it didn't work.
That's what I was going to just ask you. Did you ever go on Carson, or there was that other dude who offered any psychic like 10 grand to prove that
Yeah.
they had psychic abilities, and no one ever did it, and the dude died.
Yeah, he didn't. I don't know that he did that, but he did something similar to that. Because he's been doing this like all over the world, and for decades. Like in the 70s, there was this group in San Francisco, and I forget what their initials were, but it was something ridiculous. And they basically they got together and had parties for people who were like eccentric and outlandish, and they were artists and they were super wealthy, and like the DuPont family was part of it. So. And it's weird because then they started getting governmental funding to do these things and hold these parties to get people out there to find these people like Uri Geller who could move things with their mind and stuff. And then the CIA started picking people from their party because they were having these outlandish things. So,
Like X-Men?
a little bit, like it was,
But not nearly as cool.
Yeah.
But think X-Men meets The Great Gatsby,
All right. All right.
but in the 70s.
Worst crossover ever.
but in the 70s. So I guess
Shittiest book
I guess
ever.
X-Men meets Great Gatsby meets Boogie Nights.
Well, if you throw Boogie Nights in there,
Yeah.
it's a
I
different
actually
story.
hate it more now.
It's the mustaches. That's what does it. But so that he was, I mean, worldwide, like people really bought into this. They did news articles, they did interviews, they did press conferences. The CIA bought into this and was like, bring us Uri Geller, and took him through like ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous security measures to make sure he wasn't hiding, radios, transmitters in his teeth and working for Israel and all this stuff. It's crazy what they went through because this guy said he could bend spoons with his mind. I mean, again, thinking as myself personally, I as the head of the CIA, somebody goes, "Hey, we've got somebody who can take this spoon and just kind of bend it with his mind." I'd be like, "Go fuck yourself. Get out of here with this." Well, I've got so much other stuff.
Can he bend 1 million guns of the enemies at the same time? I'd be
So-
interested in something like that.
So one time in
Not my cutlery.
in London, he said he planned this. He said, "Okay, at 3:00, whatever their time zone is, I'm gonna shout, bend, and everybody needs to concentrate on something in their house. If you're cooking, focus. If you're focus on something that focus your energy, because the more we do it, the stronger we'll all be. Apes together, strong." And he did it. He said like 2:45 he started focusing, and he was one of the dudes who did the temple rub and all that, and he was really putting his energy into it. And exactly at 3:00 he shouted, "Bend," and people from all over London called in and were like, "Yo, I was like cooking and my fucking spoon bent and I don't know why." And people were like, "Yo,
This guy did that
Yeah.
we're just watching?
yeah."
So the same people that pay like Madame Truffant to fucking thousands of dollars to like read the lines in their hand, though. Like that's like I just put it in chat here so they know. Psychics are like bottom rung to me. Like they prey on weak people. I'm not saying whatever Yuri Spoonbindy McGuy over here is doing that, but like I see too much of this like, "Oh, I'm sorry, your daughter's dead." Like
I'm
telling
picking up
you
a
now.
tea.
Yeah.
Her name was Trisha. Yeah, okay. And I'm seeing the color pink. Yeah, that one time she wore a pink dress.
The South Park.
Okay, but don't you think like the CIA is getting involved with this guy? They have to do.
That's
They're
what I'm saying.
Do, like
They-
extreme vetting. I'm sure they're gonna make sure he's not using fucking gallium or.
They did laboratory experiments with him, and I have arranged some for tonight. So we're gonna do some of the same experiments that they made him and Ingo Swann do, and I'm gonna test your guys'.
That's super exciting.
I'm gonna test your guys'
Yes.
telekinesis abilities and your astral projection abilities.
Last time we did one of these, somebody like literally nailed.
Yeah, no, I'll
task.
totally tell a story. So
Yeah.
Colton.
Yeah, that was on Serial Killers.
Yeah,
right?
he nailed it. I drew the picture, which I've done again, and he totally nailed it. It wasn't even like I drew a star, and I told everybody it was simple shapes. That was it. And he drew a star, but it wasn't the one line star. He did the like outline star, and I'm pretty sure he even like overlapped in the same spot, like started in the same spot I did. It was
That's
really
so
weird.
crazy.
And the people that I've told about that have been like, actually, if you know him, that kind of checks out. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool to know. I'm like, I think that's a neat thing. But yeah, we're gonna do some of those. But the CIA totally believed he could do these things. Also, again, like I mentioned, Ingo Swann, fucking cool name.
Yeah.
Like
I got no qualms with that.
Yeah, like that's just a badass name. Like you could be whatever you want to be. You want to be an eccentric psychic? Go for it, bro. Your name's fucking Ingo Swann. Don't let anybody stop you. And they used this. The CIA did the same thing. They kind of plucked him from this group. They were like, hey, we know about this guy. We're gonna do some tests. And they did the same kind of tests with this guy. They had him try astral projecting and remote viewing and stuff like that, which it seems really weird because they would, for a while, he was back and forth where he like things would work really well and then they wouldn't. And then he got really depressed for a long time because he was being paraded around like by a party trick, or as a party trick by some of these guys who. So a lot of these CIA agents were doing this and then started getting more into the psychedelic side of it, especially in the 70s. And so they started doing a lot of drugs and like hanging out in these weird circles and like dragging these guys along with them. And like so much so that they're supposed to be, you know, scientists in a laboratory testing these people and trying to make foolproof tests. And they would just fly by the seat of their pants. We're going to make this up. We'll do it in quote unquote laboratory conditions and we'll call it good enough. So like the laboratory conditions we're doing tonight, where you have no knowledge of the things that I have written down already. And you will be given a set of instructions, which you follow if you want. And those are the conditions that they were testing him in. So there were some very weird things that happened. They gave him a dice in a box, and he shook it, put the dice down, and correctly identified the number 8 out of 8 times. The scientists that were doing that said the statistical probability of that was like 1 in a million.
It's like not even, you can't get 8 heads and tails in a row, let alone a 6-sided die.
Right. And then, so they later on at a different point, they were like, we're going to recreate this test to kind of prove our point. And he was like, okay, fine. And he did it 12 out of 12 times. And they were like, well, shit, that's like 1 in a trillion.
That's incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
But see, it was done like at a guy's house one night, not in a laboratory with strict settings being observed and calculated. It was like, I mean, the guys that were doing it were scientists. They did it properly, but it wasn't.
Can I really quickly give a reaching theory before I forget about it?
Please do.
So, like, you know, there's people with perfect pitch, and they can, like, you know, they're capable of, like...
already like where you're going with this.
They're, like, capable of really interesting things beyond perfect pitch in music. Like they say people with perfect pitch pick really good watermelons because it has, like, a certain sound, and they understand, like... So, what if he had...
I've ever heard that about anybody with perfect pitch, but I love it.
Look it up. What if he had like such perfect pitch, he understood like the sounds of how the die was hitting the table, and you know, like in his brain, he's like, okay, it's a 4.
It's entirely possible, but
I'm not saying like he's even trying to pass it off as a trick. It's like his brain does it without him going like, I'm listening to it.
He has no reason for knowing why.
Right, in his mind, he's like, oh, I just know that that's a 4
Yeah.
under there. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I agree with you that's entirely possible. 20 consecutive times though, that's
what I mean about like it would be a, what's the word I'm looking for? It'd be a prodigious task. Like he would be a prodigy of sorts. Like the guy who drew the New York skyline when they flew him over it for like an hour and a half in a helicopter, and he came and he literally drew window for window.
See,
like
that's another thing they said, that they thought Ingo Swann and Uri Geller both had what's called an eidetic memory, where you can, it's like photographic memory, where you can, I mean, down to the detail. I can't, like, if somebody put blinders up right now, I would not be able to tell you what I'm wearing. So I don't understand how these eidetic memory dudes function, But they asked him about that, and he's like, I mean, I don't. And they would test him constantly, call him in the middle of the night, ask him about things. He would call them in the middle of the night and be like, hey, I kind of thought about this. And they were like, oh, okay. But the problem with that is, like, one of the tests they did, they gave him some coordinates. So the guy running the experiment went to somebody completely separate and said, give me some coordinates on a map where only you know what they are. And the guy was like, okay, here's whatever they are. And he writes them down. He takes them back to Ingo Swann. He goes, here. It's like, these are your coordinates. Ingo Swann's like, okay, cool. He takes them, he thinks about it for a minute, he kind of sketches like a rough nature scene. This is what I see. And they're like, okay, cool, thanks, great. He takes it back to the first guy and says, what is this? Like, you know, he drew this, he drew like a circular driveway, he drew or no, I'm sorry, he drew like a rough nature scene in there. He was like, yeah, okay. And then he called they called a couple of other guys. There was a guy named hell, I've got it in here. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, but basically he drew the approximate area of this guy's cabin. It was it was his summer house. And he drew like some landmarks from the area, like the hillsides, the thick forest behind the tree, like the circular kind of driveway. He drew a cabin, kind of rough sketches of buildings and stuff. And the guy was like, well, they handed it back to him, and he goes, this isn't mine. You're wrong. And so he gave it back to him. And they'd already met this other cat at a Christmas tree farm. And this guy was like, hey, I know what you guys are doing. I know the experiments you guys are doing. I want to help any way possible. Let me know. And so the guy running the experiment called Christmas Tree Farm guy, and I've got his name in here and I'll get to it. But he was like, here's some coordinates. Tell me what you see. He's like 2 days later, he got a big old packet report in the mail. Like altitude, like viewed from this altitude, this is what the weather was, down to the report of the clouds. This is what I saw. This is what I saw. Going down being at altitude of 15,000 feet, this is what I saw. Being at an altitude of 10,000 feet, this is what I saw. Being at an altitude of 5,000 feet, this is what I saw. Being on ground level, this is what I saw. Looking at these buildings facing this direction, 2 degrees west of north, I saw this. And they were like, okay, so he's got this incredibly detailed report that he allegedly did from his brain. And he took it to him and was like, here. So he went into such detailed report. He said, I see a government facility. I see big roll-up doors. I see the circular driveway. I see a flagpole. I see behind those doors, I see Army Engineer Corps, 5th Infantry in there, whatever, like blah, blah, blah. I see a file cabinet. I see these names in the file cabinet. I see guys wearing these uniforms. I see these names on the doors. And he got brought in by the CIA for being a spy because they said the names matched. They said this, that, and the other thing. And they were like, these aren't the coordinates that we gave you, though. And he was like, yeah, no, totally. He goes, I saw the cabin and all that shit. He goes, I'm not worried about that. He said, you guys are the CIA. You're into espionage. He goes, I was just looking down the road a little bit. And this guy had no idea that 3 miles down the road from his cabin was this Army radio base called Sugar Grove. And this guy they gave it to a Christmas tree farmer who was like, yeah, totally. It's this, and this, and these names are in there, and gave him everything down to a detail, down to the color of the desk that the files were in.
That's awesome.
It's fucking incredible, dude. And like these are documented things from the government. Yeah. So like these are like as close to fact as you can get. That's wild, right? Like
yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
It sometimes it takes a minute for some of that shit to process, but it always blows my mind. Yeah. So, we'll do a couple of experiments just for fun. There's some papers in front of you. There's some pens over there. People in chat, you can get in on this too. Save your answers for the end because we'll do them all at once. I mean, these guys, they can share. Obviously, you're gonna be able to see what they're doing when I cut to them and stuff like that. But I've got a few things written down in a notebook here. I'll let you guys see the notebook.
It is green.
Yeah, it's a green notebook. Don't let the lighting fool you. In here, I think, let's see. Second page in, there's some stuff written on it, and anybody who wants to astral project to it and try and read that notebook, take a minute, close your eyes, picture yourself getting here. You can see kind of what it looks like, so it makes it work. You guys too, you're already here, so you don't have to go as far. But feel free to take a moment, and I'll give you the subject, so you're not just guessing in the wind. I have a shape, again, a fairly simple shape. It's not like I didn't draw a house or anything like that. It's basic shapes. I have a number 1 through 20, a location, actually it's a state, and a letter from the alphabet. So, if you want,
sounds like my preschool focus week at home.
Well, then you should be good at it.
So you feel free to draw the shape too if you want. If you're getting images like that. And
do you have tips on how to do? Do I need to clear my mind?
Oh, they all came to me. That's how I already got it.
So it's like meditation.
If I get all 4 of these, I'm never doing the show again.
So what did you say? It's
I mean, if you get all
shape,
4, then I think I disappear
A
into a
number.
singularity.
A shape, a state, a letter, and a number 1 through 20.
So, and you don't, like I said, you don't have to do them all right now. Save until the end of the show. We'll get everybody. We'll get everybody to do it all at once
What, in
we'll
a letter?
Anywhere A to Z, Lindsay.
Fuck off.
For what it's worth,
Very aggressive.
for what it's worth, these were written down at 3:15 this afternoon,
Oh, well, then I need to rewrite mine.
and they've been tucked away in my desk drawer until I just showed you guys right now. And like I said, I'll take the answers near the end of the show. So, I have another one similar to what Ingo Swann what they made him do, and this one's a little more interactive and kind of fun live.
While you're setting up, Bree and Lindsay Taylor said, "You guys look beautiful."
Oh,
hi, Taylor.
Congratulations.
There you go.
Taylor played along too, I believe, Greg. So
Perfect.
we'll get her answer at the end as well.
We'll get everybody's answers at the end. And,
Oh, she already gave her answers, but don't look. Don't
Oh
look.
no,
Don't look.
no. I did see her answers, and it's 1 through 20. Numbers 1 through 20. There you go. Still not it, but yes. So like I said, one of the experiments they had him do, they would take flashcards that had shapes on them and hide them out of view. They would, put them in another room or whatever, and he would tell you which shapes were highlighted, which ones were picked, which card was on top, things like that. They had him take a deck of cards, which I have a deck of cards if you guys are really feeling feisty, and pull a card out and tell me which card it is. Really channel it, and look at it through my eyes and see what I see, and tell me which card it is. Or a dice in a box, and you shake it around, slam it down, tell me what number it is, and see if you're right.
That's what Bill Murray's doing the card thing at the beginning of Ghostbusters. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was his and that was what he had a grant to be doing at the college, but then he gets shit canned.
Which is weird because a lot of these psychedelic experiments and stuff like MK Ultra that happened and were sort of somewhat involved in this and sponsored by the same assholes was done through colleges and potentially made the Unabomber. So who would like to go first with the dice? If you want, you don't have to.
I'll go.
I'll play too. You want to try?
Yeah.
All right, come and get it.
Oh, I'm
just
do it.
kidding.
Okay. I didn't know what you wanted me to do.
No. I'm gonna get you. I want to make sure that you've got full control. You can look at it. So you're familiar with the dice.
Just make sure this is a standard
Not a trick
edition.
dice.
Not even that, but it's like get to know familiarize yourself with it. Get to know the dice.
Just pop it in my mouth and
Yeah, get the taste for it.
okay.
And
And
Jesse's
then,
the only one that's playing that game.
Yeah, and I, in the time of the Rona, there was only, I've got more dice.
COVID dice.
I mean, we do have some Clorox wipes right there.
So go ahead, shake it around, go upside down on the table with the box, and then tell me what it is. And then you guys are gonna have to be my eyes to make sure
What do you
that.
think of the sounds that it made?
Well, no, here I'll give you a chance to do it again.
No,
like,
I was joking.
no, I mean I'll give you a chance to do it again. That way you can clear your mind and do all that.
Oh,
I
that's
hate to
not
bring
gonna
it up,
that's
by
not
the way,
gonna help.
but the last time we were all together was when the first case of coronavirus got
Was in
discovered.
China,
If you
yeah.
this month, in fact.
Yeah.
Fun.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Okay, so should I tell you what number I think, or do you want me to clear my mind?
do what you think is best. If you think you know the number,
So
you tell me.
listen, when I golf, I don't practice swing. When I ran track, I never did my warm-up runs. I'm not fucking clearing my mind because I need this cluttered mind to help me think.
Go ahead.
It's a 4. Oh, it's a 3. There's a 3.
Okay.
That's close.
All right. Anybody else want to take a shot at it?
try.
I mean,
Okay.
Yahtzee!
see how in touch with the outer you are.
Okay. Let's see here. Get this out of the way. I'll say it's a 2. Ah, not even close.
Okay, but what was weird is I was thinking that you were gonna say 2.
See,
In my
I feel
head,
like
I was
we
thinking
have
the
There's
same
like
thing.
some
What happened?
energy in this room.
Well, no. So
man.
you're directing your energy toward. You were thinking more about Bree than you were about the dice.
But I feel like that happens with us anyways, like just in regular life.
Yeah. Okay.
We're just really in touch with each other, you guys. I did that with my mind.
I was gonna say I think we may have angered something.
I'm gonna say 1. Opposite.
But you know what? What's on the other side of that 6?
Boom. 1.
So you were just picking the
I was
signals up
halfway
upside
there.
down.
Yeah.
Snip,
I was
snap.
halfway there. I felt it.
See, I'll give it.
So
a
I
shot.
wait, is
believe
the
you.
2 on the other side of the 5? Maybe I did the same thing.
No idea.
I think it's 5. and it's a 2.
What's on the other side of the 2 though? So we're picking up the signals just upside down.
Maybe we just don't
What's
know
on
how-
the other side of a 3?
Maybe the Mercury in retrograde has got us all fucked up.
What?
We literally all said the number that was facing down.
Okay,
That's
so
fucking
That's
crazy.
weird.
that's a little spooky.
And it is Mercury
It's
retrograde
November,
right now.
bro, and I don't know what that means.
Yeah, dude, Jupiter's
Retrograde is actually ending today.
yeah, dog,
But
Jupiter's
that's
in
fucking
Gatorade.
crazy.
This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
Hold on. Charlie says he wants in. So, Charlie, this one's for you.
All right, now wait for the 30-second delay, and Charlie give us
No,
your
that's
answer.
fine. I'll hold it right here. I won't look. Charlie, do the thing. Tell me what number you think it is. And 3. It's a 2. Opposite the 5. You weren't even close. You're not even in the game. Great try. Appreciate it. Yeah, shit. I know. Great try. I appreciate you. So don't forget, if you've got a shape, a number, a location, and a letter, a state, one of the 50 states, and a letter, and the numbers are 1 through 20. Write those down. I'll get them from you at the end of the show. I'll give you some time to remote view your ass in here. Ow. Take a look at this notebook.
Give him the address so he can get here.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I've got so many people that I've pissed off. No. So yeah, we talked about a little bit about the Sugar Grove remote viewing incident. Some more about it. His name was Pat Price. Was the guy's name?
Pat Price.
Pat Price.
Old
You should be
PP.
like a game show host with that name.
It's a pretty good name. He was a Christmas tree farmer. He was the, and for whatever reason, when I think of him, I think of, what's the guy's name from Pet Cemetery?
Like the actual guy's name or the
the
guy who...
the character.
Judd Crandall.
Yeah, he makes me think of that, that
wanna
road
go
there.
down that road.
Like I could just picture him.
Good
Like,
story about that road there.
I can just picture him like, oh, you want to buy a Christmas tree, eh? I know about the experiments you boys are doing.
Why don't you check out this Douglas fir? And also, take those files out of the 3rd drawer and put them on the desk tonight so I can get a better look at them.
Yeah, like, I mean, shit like that. Like, that's what I pictured when I was reading all this, listening audiobooks. But I think it's fun and worth noting. But they asked him to do, Ingo Swann to do because he was able to manipulate stuff with his mind. They would put stuff in a box, put the box up on a ladder, put the ladder in another room. He would think about it, tell you what was in there. Almost 100%. They said he was something like 80%.
Wow.
That was pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
Like, he guessed just the random object with no...
It was again, like, it was the flashcards with the basic shapes.
I
It
see.
was a die with switch sides on top, things like that. One of the things that they did with Pat Price was they had a box, and they would put basic office supplies in it because that's what they had laying around, and then they would seal the box, and they would put it in front of him, and he'd pick it up and look at it and listen, and and he wasn't one of he wasn't like Uri Geller or Ingo Swann. He didn't do like the rub my temples and really get into it. He was more
I feel like that's more showy, which makes me
trust
less
you less
inclined to believe it. Yeah.
We'll see. And you can see Uri Geller doesn't really do the whole rub the temples thing as much as Ingo Swann did when he was on TV and stuff. But he this Pat Price, essentially, like I said, I like to picture him like Judd Crandall,
Yeah.
He just that box there, that one's got a stapler in it, and he was doing stuff like that, and he was just killing it. He was nailing every single one, and so one of the guys was like, "Nah, I'm gonna fuck with him," and so he went outside and he got a moth, and he put the moth in the box, little brown moth. Put the moth in the box.
It's a moth in a box.
Sealed the box up, brought it inside, said, "Here you go. Here's your next one." It wasn't, they like took a break. He came back. He did 1 or 2 more with office supplies, and he's like, "Here's your next box." And he goes, "Ooh, this one's weird." And they're like, "What do you mean this one's weird?" And he's like, "It's not an office supply. It's like a leaf or something shaped, like a leaf. It's probably alive. It feels like it's alive, or at least it was alive at one point. Like it's got that kind of energy." And they're like, "What is it?" And he's like, "I don't know." He's like, it feels like a leaf or like a moth or something like that. And the guy like cuts it open and opens the box, and stuck to the lid was the little brown moth. And he was like, "Booyah."
Damn.
Hey, thanks, Charles. Appreciate you, dog. Get those emotes.
It's like it sounds like a dead moth.
He just went towards the light.
they
fucking shook the box enough. I'm sure he killed it.
no, he. I mean, I just think stuff like that's crazy. Where it's like, you know, how do you get in touch with that? Is it another dimension? Is it another realm? Is it just a higher plane of this realm? Is it a higher point of consciousness? Does it have to do with your chakras?
I think it's definitely possible, and I'm pretty sure I'm the only person in this room that believes that.
Well, I picture a moth in a box and him shaking it and it dying. Obviously, you know that
it was alive. It was alive when it came out.
Oh, so it survived.
Yes.
I thought you said it was against the
Yeah, like
flap.
it had landed up on, I think it
Yeah,
had
it had a
I
lid
thought
and
it
they
was
like sealed
dead.
it shut.
Against.
I'm thinking
I'm
of
pretty sure they
file
killed it.
boxes. You know,
All
like
right.
the file
banker's,
boxes.
a banker's box.
That's the one.
All right.
And then
All
they
right.
just sealed that shut with a moth in there. And when he like.
When I was reading today to try to find a side story, a lot of people, because I was like, I felt intrusive because I was on like websites and subreddits that were for people who astral project and have these OBEs and stuff. And so like reading them felt very personal, even though they were on like a very public forum. I didn't like say, I agree to not talk about it. It still felt like I went into like a support group for cancer. You know, it felt very Fight Club. Like I didn't belong there, but at the same time, I was like, I need this information though, man. So many of them talk about their first experiences being like in the time where like you're not supposed to really even remember stuff. Like when they're like how you were saying, this guy's bullshit. He said it was 4, but a lot of them talk about like, I remember my first experience. I was 2 years old and this happened. I remember my first experience. I was 3 years old and this happened. A lot of it like is, it seems innate. Like when people
Like naturally
believe that they
inclined
have
to do
it.
it.
Yeah. Like it's just there and they just are able to. They tap into it somehow in an unknown way, and that's how they use the force.
Yeah. No, it's I've heard a lot about that, and like I mean I don't think I'm very sensitive to stuff like that. For me, the door is metaphorically closed, and mostly because I want it that way. You know what I mean? I don't want to believe in any of that stuff, dude. Like I've done enough. When I die, let me die. I don't want another plane. I don't want another existence. I just want to cruise. And so, but I do remember stuff from when I was really young. And my mom says I used to say weird stuff when I was really young. You know, I remember when I was older, I used to do this. My mom's like, "That's fucking weird." Like
Scotty says that now.
Yeah, and she said I would say stuff like we would go someplace that I'd never been before, but I would be telling her details about the place that we were at, and she's like, "That's not cool either." And it used to bug her, but I don't, like I said, I don't really necessarily believe that I'm sensitive to any of that stuff. I don't know. Some people definitely feel like they are, and
I think that you probably are, but
Nah.
you made a decision to. I think a lot of what it boils down to is having a natural ability or a natural connection with this like other realm, and then also keeping yourself open enough to nurture it and keep the door open. So like you said, like you may have had this like natural ability to connect with the other side, but you made a conscious decision that like, I don't want that for my life. I don't want to do that. I'm closing this door.
Well,
so,
and they said stuff like people who are more sensitive to that are empaths. You know, they're more sensitive to other people's feelings and emotions and auras and stuff like that. So I always thought that was interesting. You see a lot of stuff like that. But I forgot where we were. Oh yeah. So they had this Pat Price guy who, after he did the moth thing, Ingo Swan. They had him in one of the facilities. They asked him. There was a kind of like a Richter scale, if that makes, you know what that is, like,
Yeah.
or like a lie detector. Mm-hmm. Except it was for like electromagnetic fields, and it was buried in this room, like underground. This guy didn't know where it was. He didn't know what it looked like. Nobody knows what it looked like up to this point. And except the like 2 or 3 people who had put the machine together and put it in its location. They were the only ones who knew where it was, what it was, how it worked, what it looked like. And they brought him into this room. It's a little Faraday cage. And they said, okay, so we've got this thing. And it had been running for hours, just kind of making a wavy line back and forth. And they brought him in and they said, okay, go ahead and see if you can perturb it. That's the word they kept using. Can you perturb it? And so he's standing there and he's for a while trying to really focus on it, and he's doing the temple rub and stuff like that. And he's like, okay, can you tell me where it is? And they were like, no. He's like, okay. can you tell me what it looks like? No. He's like, well, okay, so you want me to affect something that I don't know what it is. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know where it is. Like, how do you expect me to do that? I just have to pick this thing out of the fucking ether?
They're like, yeah, and kill it too.
And they were basically like, yeah, just pick it. You know what we're after. Follow the energy trail or whatever they told him. Suck it up. It was the psychic's equivalent of rub some fucking dirt on it. And they so he's like, okay, can I have a piece of paper and a pen or whatever? So they got him, a pencil and a sketch pad, and he sat there and he doodled what he thought this thing might have possibly looked like. And the scientists were like, it's a pretty good drawing. Fuck. And he was like, okay. And he focused on that. And they said it started oscillating really fast. And then it stopped again. And then they were like, holy fucking shit. Like, this actually worked. We can't believe this worked. And so they left it running for a couple of hours to make sure that it wasn't like a fluke in the machine.
Surprise earthquake or something.
Right. They just let it go. And it never registered anything again. I think they gave him a piece of the chart paper from the machine. That's what he had to draw on, and so that's what he drew his sketch on, and then used that to find the machine, and was able to quote unquote perturb it and affect it. And they asked him, they were like, because they were pricks to him like the whole time he was doing it. We don't believe you, and we don't think
like,
this
we're
is
on
real.
this bullshit ass assignment.
Yeah. And it's the mid 70s. These guys are kind of dicks anyway. They're all the suits, and this is just past.
They want to go home, smoke their cigarettes, drink their whiskey, beat their wives.
Right.
Yeah.
And so they're not real psyched about being on a mission of top secret classification with sensitive guys who can move stuff with their mind when these guys don't believe in it.
Yeah.
And so they were like, yo, come back and do it again. Like, prove to us you can do it again. And he was like, nope, go fuck yourselves. And so that's why I'm like, man, see, I wish you could have gone back and done it again. You know what I mean? He's the one who hit 20 for 20 on the dice, telling you what, that's, outside of these little party tricks that he used to do.
Right.
That's, in actual laboratory, quote unquote, laboratory conditions. So, that, being able to like put yourself outside yourself and have like a spiritual body out there roaming, it's kind of cool. It's a cool idea. And like, they used it. The CIA really tapped into it. Like, have you guys seen Stranger Things?
Mm-hmm, of course.
Yeah. So
No.
they really tapped into it in like what Eleven was doing and how she was able to, move stuff with her mind and, go back and visit her mom and stuff like that. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched Stranger Things, like fucking this guy.
Have you really not seen it?
I don't care.
No,
I
I know.
have not.
What?
I mean, like, I've seen the memes. It's the same as Lord of the Rings. I haven't seen it. I've seen the memes though. I got it.
I've
I'm
never
there.
seen Lord of the Rings.
I haven't watched Breaking Bad.
And that's why, I'm also in on what's that superhero show on Amazon right now?
The Boys.
I got it, dude. It's fine. I see all the memes. I'm in.
Yeah, I don't even
Homelander
see,
or whatever.
I don't even see those. So through like MK Ultra and stuff, they tried to force people to astral project. They tried to break your brain and compartmentalize it and use parts of it to hide secrets so that it would only come out like the Manchurian Candidate. Or they tried to, pull your spiritual self out and send it out to do recon work. And a lot of these were volunteers. They were guys who were like, yeah, you want me to come in and say that I can travel and I get to not go clean the shitter? I'm in. And so that's my personal opinion. I have no facts to back up where they're getting these guys from, but they were all military guys. They were CIA guys. They were people that were brought in specifically for this. But they used them to, like, do you remember the movie Argo? Was that the Iranian hostage crisis?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah. So the CIA at that time in real life was using spies to go into Iran, find where these people are, tell them, from this main street, from these coordinates you gave me, you go, 200 yards north, you want to turn right, you want to go up the stairs, there's a red door. On the other side of that red door, there's 2 guards. Behind those guards, there's another door, it's locked. Once you get through that locked door, you want to make a right, and there's a window. On the other side of that window, there's, a ledge. Across that ledge, there's this, and this, there's 12 people in this room. And they were getting that kind of information, and some of it turned out to be real and usable, true information, and some of it was just hot dog shit that they couldn't do anything with. And I think That's the difference between an opportunist going, yeah, dude, I don't have to clean the latrine. I'm down.
Yeah.
And somebody who's like, yeah, I think I could actually help.
Someone in chat mentioned that The Men Who Stare at Goats is also
Yes, and that's
viewing.
it's such a good movie. It's such a good movie. It's and it's got like
I've ever even heard of that.
dude,
It's George Clooney.
John
What?
Malkovich.
Oh, okay.
The Men
Yeah,
Who
yeah,
Stare
yeah,
at
yeah.
Goats.
Yeah. Good movie. I liked it.
I don't really like recall it that much. I know for sure I've seen it once, but I don't remember being like, well, fuck that movie. So
What's it about?
It's this.
That? Okay.
And they were trying to use telekinesis to like kill goats, but the whole thing that comes from goats. In this era of like the military and their telekinesis studies and their astral projection and stuff like that, that's what they called people who didn't believe.
Oh, I thought you meant literal goats.
Well, in the movie there are actual goats, and you see like the four guys. I forget who all's in it, but they're all sitting there and they're like,
the goats?
no, they're staring across at goats, and then one of them like drops dead, and he's
Is it like a Coen Brothers movie?
it feels like. Did you ever watch Burn After Reading?
Yeah.
It feels a lot like that.
Okay.
It's the same. It came out around the same time, like that, and like what was it, the Fantastic Mr. Fox?
All right.
Like it's
solid. I like Fantastic Mr. Fox.
it's got the same kind of feel though, like where it's that dry humor that like
Yeah.
Here, this is funny. Fuck you. And you're like, oh, okay, thanks.
But ow, also ow.
Yeah, I didn't like that part. So they were getting people who were better at this than others, obviously getting reliable information back when they were doing this stuff. So they sent some on a mission, and I have the transcripts of one of those missions, and this one's a little far out, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. You really gotta believe, because the CIA, May 22nd, 1984, 10:09 a.m. They began a remote viewing session. They sent a guy to Mars, and they had this guy go to remote view himself to Mars. He had to relax, and so when they do these sessions, I picture it. I don't have obviously any photos of it, but I picture it as
Why?
I mean, because it's the fucking CIA, dude. Like, no smartphones allowed. But
They
they
sneakier than that.
oh shit! I left the flash on. Get him. See, it's not all fun and games. American Dad has lied to you. That's predictive programming, my dude. They're channeling you to think that CIA is a bunch of fun people that do drugs and. Oh wait. Anyway, they sent this guy to Mars. So these sessions, again, I picture it like somebody laying on a lounge in a therapist's office, and the guy's sitting there, and they're long sessions and they're really quiet, and they ask these people, okay, here's your coordinates, here's what you got to do, here's what we're looking for, here's the information we want. Sometimes, especially like at this point in time, they were just looking for broad strokes, general information. Give us colors, give us shapes, give us something, and they write it all down. And when these guys come back to, because they would try and put themselves in a trance basically, and when they would come back to, they'd be like, okay, draw it, show us everything, like sketch out as best you can what you remember and stuff like that. So this guy, the CIA monitor gave the subject, they never used names. They were all numbers. Some of them were like 6.5. That's your number.
Executed.
Yeah, right. Fuck the 0.5s. So they gave this guy an approximate time and a location on a 3x5 note card. It read, the planet Mars, time of interest approximately 1 million years BC. And that's where they wanted this guy to send his astral self. Yeah. So again, hold on, before you say this,
Okay.
I really want to reinforce the fact that this is what tax dollars went to.
I'm here for it, honestly.
The defense budget went to a black budget. They sold it. This is 84? 84. They were selling crack to the inner city to fund this.
Could you imagine, though, if the U.S. military could harness the power of someone being able to remote view?
I don't have to
or
imagine
astral
it.
project?
The Nazis tried it. The CIA tried it. NASA tried it. Like, everybody's tried it.
I feel like they make like superhero movies that the world ends based off of that.
Okay,
right?
but here was
Like,
my question: is so with astral projection, though, you can not only go to like different places but different times.
Yeah, you basically pick a point in space-time and can travel.
Can go anywhere. Can you go into the future
Allegedly.
or only the past?
See, I don't. it depends. It's all alleged. You can go wherever. It's all alleged.
If it follows the rules of actual time travel, only the past.
Okay.
But I guess it
wouldn't have to though. If it's
I would imagine that if you're time traveling to the future, there's so many possibilities based on all the decisions that get made day to day across
too many variables.
billions of times over per second. There's so many things that change the future, and I would assume if it works the way I think it does, because I'm not an astrophysicist, that you would potentially get lost between timelines.
Yeah,
gone
you should
forever
be
in the ether.
able to only go backwards.
I would think so.
Okay.
That makes the most sense to me because that's already
Yeah.
happened. That's established history and fact.
Yeah.
And you can't affect it because you're astral. You're not an actual
How
physical
scary
body.
though to think about like getting lost between like timelines. Like you literally like your soul like can't find its way back to your body or
Yeah, imagine
that's
like
crazy.
yeah. It's like it feels like counting grains of rice. Like it just like an insurmountable task that you probably could do if you took the time, but by the time you got there, would the juice be worth the squeeze, or should you just live your astral life to your astral best, you know? But they sent this guy to Mars 1 million years BC. He begins his journey. They start at 40.89 degrees north and 9.55 degrees west. He said he sees a pyramid form sitting in, quote, a depressed flat area. And it's like, cheer up, little flat area. Thank you.
Gotcha.
Oh God! By the way, did you see I got Sam with a dad joke on Reddit today?
No.
Or from Reddit today.
Which one? Go ahead.
The actress who got stabbed.
Oh yeah.
Did you hear about that?
no.
Oh, Reese.
You're so stupid. I know it. I'll help you out. Witherspoon?
No, with a knife.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thanks for not letting me twist out there.
Shouldn't have let him just hang.
I know.
But I totally got Sam with that this morning, and she was like, she goes, "You're a fucking idiot." Yeah, I guess. Anyway, so he says he sees a pyramid form sitting in a depressed flat area. A lot of what he sees is a pretty bleak dystopia. He said the after effects of, quote, a geologic problem. His handler instructs him to move around the area and take a look around. They have him travel back further in time to the beginning of the geologic problem, so he essentially stays in one spot, and time happens backwards until he gets to like the... And it seems, for me, that feels very Futurama, like when they would like just turn a dial and it would go...
Yeah.
And then and it would stop.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Close enough, you know? Or whatever. That's what it feels like. I don't know.
But there's no way to like check if that dude is correct or not at all.
Right. I mean...
He could just be making it all up. They have no like evidence that what he's saying is true.
Yeah. I mean, that's why at the beginning of this I said allegedly. Like, these are the facts. This is what happened.
Yeah.
This is what he said happened. But did it? Like,
There's no way
I
to
don't fucking know.
Like, do we even have that technology now?
Do you really think the government just dumped what I would have to assume are millions of dollars into a telekinesis program for the United States to use as defense and be like, you know, hey, we're just going to sink a bunch of money into this because we totally think it exists.
Listen, buddy.
They sink money into other stupid.
I was also going to say, you know,
I know.
Stupid
I-
shit.
it's the
I
end of the
know.
fiscal year, and we cannot underspend on the budget, man. I don't know. Get those fucking idiot sidekicks in here or something. Just, I don't know, dude. Get those idiots who got to clean the toilet. They'll feel like they got a cool job, and we'll pay these dumbass sidekicks, and that way next year we don't get fucked when the budget comes back around.
I mean, but see, okay, I agree with that. Like, cool. I'm good with that. That would explain 6 months of funding and maybe these guys going to Brazil hunting for mushrooms. Cool. Fine. But we know this shit went on to like this is 84. I mean, that Brazil trip happened in the 50s.
Are we sure that this is like still not happening? Like, do we know
So
that
a lot
they've
of
ended these
human experiments don't get talked about because it's pretty uncool.
Yeah.
Like a war crime and a violation of the Geneva Convention. If you like experiment on people and they don't know about it, and
Nah.
or it's against right,
Just kidding.
or it's against their will, and like a lot of that is what a lot of this like MK Ultra stuff was, where they would tie somebody down
Yeah.
to a bed and pump them full of barbiturates and then amphetamines and be like, okay, what happens now?
And be like, hey, Doesn't that window look nice?
Bet I can throw you through it.
But I can do it myself.
Do we know that they're like, have they like stopped testing if people are able to do this stuff? Even if they're like, if I'm like a willing participant, like, hey, I'm a psychic, I can do this, I can do that. And the military decides, okay, we want to test you.
So,
are they still dumping money into programs like that? I guess is what I'm asking.
somebody spoke up about the program. Like it was specifically, I'll speak to MK Ultra specifically. Somebody spoke up about that program, and they did an investigation on it, and they were in the 70s, and they were like, "Yo, holy fucking shit!"
Not cool.
Yeah, we can't believe. I mean, and it went into somewhat. The person that was the victim spoke out about it, and gave their encounter, which, I mean, it was really graphic. I don't really want to get into it here. I'll get into it, like I'll do a specific one where you like show about MK Ultra, and it'll be awful.
Yeah.
And I'll be
Can't
depressed
wait.
for like 6 months again, and it'll be a whole thing. But they would do some really, really awful traumatic stuff. And basically she was explaining about all that, and the person who was in charge of the program at the time was like, holy shit, burn everything.
Yeah.
And they burned everything. And then like 6 years later, they were going through some files looking for some like accounting files, and they found a stack of those bankers boxes
We didn't burn everything.
labeled MK Ultra, and the guy was like, I have no idea what this is. So he opens it up and he's going through it, and he's like, oh my god. So that's all the information we have about MK Ultra.
Yeah.
These 20,000 documents or whatever it is. And that was it. All it detailed was a few years. This program had been going on for decades and could potentially still be going on. They said, no, it's all shut down. No, that was a thing that happened, and
Do we really trust the government?
and they were like,
Did you see Eminem on Monday Night Football that one time?
I mean, I know you're mocking me, but
No, I'm
yeah,
not.
did you?
Like,
Did you?
Isn't that like one of the classic clips they use to
Yeah.
like try to convince you that celebrities are?
the moment he reset,
Yeah.
What?
Eminem resetting on Monday Night Football.
I think it was like right
talking
before
about Marshall
Eminem gets
Mathers?
sober. Yeah, I think it's like right before he got sober, and he was pretty messed up on some drugs. And he was on a Monday night or Thursday night football game, and they're like talking, and then all of a sudden the camera's there, and I mean you'll see it. He just goes like, and everybody's
He's most
like,
likely
"Oh,
fucked up on drugs, right?"
that's what I think is what was happening." Because I know he's like clean now and stuff, but I think that
Let's see. I don't have my glasses on, but
What a pleasure for Herbie and me to
okay, maybe it
introduce
was a college game.
Marshall
Yeah.
Mathers. Some of you may know him as Eminem, but he's going to join the Saturday
Or
night
he's
crew
trolling.
with our music intro starting next Saturday night. But folks, I want to
Look at
take
Kirk
you to the
Herbstreit
world
thinks he's
premiere
trolling.
of one of his new videos called Berserk. Take a listen. It's headed for the top of the charts.
I think he was sober when this album came
So
out.
was that the great Rick Rubin who was helping produce that with you, Marshall, when you did that?
Yeah, sorry. Live TV.
I think he's trolling
I think
them.
he's fucking with them.
Do you, I mean,
I'm
that
sorry, what
if
was the
so,
question?
he held
Was
that
that
through the
was
like
Mr.
through the
Rubin,
clip,
one
the
of the
entire
all-time
clip of the
greats.
video
Yeah,
and all that stuff.
How
Okay,
long
but
does it
how
take
much
you
does like
to shoot a video
Marshall
like that?
Mathers
How many
really
takes
fuck
and
with
how many
people,
hours?
especially commercial mainstream
Sometimes
media?
it's usually like a
I have no
Loves
idea.
doing- Like he loves
Sometimes
doing
you can
it.
go
Fair
to
amount, I understand, but anyway,
It's
that's
a lot of
I
takes,
could
it's a lot of
totally-
sitting around waiting.
That's commitment. They're like, yo,
Yeah.
Marshall, you got to go on the Notre Dame Michigan game. We know you're, like you're from Detroit. Like,
so.
go out there, wear blue and gold. He's like,
that's-
all right, but I'm
that's-
trolling.
That's
I
part
could
of the
totally
whole,
see him doing it just to like fuck with them.
Yeah.
It's part of the whole Kanye running for president and all that stuff. Like his hard reset when he bleached his hair a few years ago and went
Kanye
off
is
the
like
rails.
severely mentally.
Or Miley Cyrus going off the rails, Britney Spears going off the
Gaga
rails,
did
Christina
some shit that
Aguilera
everybody
going
was
off
like-
the rails, Lady Gaga going off the rails, and all these people.
Could
or
that just be stardom, drugs, celebrity, the
Ask-
people
I
you
mean-
surround yourself with?
ask Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle said that once you hit a certain level, everything changes and your whole world shifts, and some people can't handle it and they break.
Yeah.
And he said it happened to Eddie Murphy when he was caught out waving a gun or whatever it was, and it happened to Mariah Carey when she was running around in her underwear in the street or whatever, screaming at people. And he said it happens when you hit a certain point. The power balance shifts, and some people can't hang, and
Yeah.
they break. And he said, but then you watch them pull their lives together, and it makes you wonder how they do it. And so that
Money.
Well, and then Dave Chappelle went and disappeared for
Yeah.
how long? So it's just, but all that stuff aside, that program could potentially still be running, and most likely is, because why would you give up? You got funding for it. You're creating, and like they're the guys that created LSD.
Yeah.
And they fucked it up. They were giving people, because they were going from like the metric system to the freedom units, they misplaced a decimal, and so they were giving people 10 times the dose that they should have of LSD. And they had
just like break people's brains.
They had one guy hooked up where he was continuously on this 10 times the dose of LSD for 6 months. All day.
Are you ever normal ever again after that?
He was not happy about it. Afterwards, he was very not happy about it.
When you detox, when it's completely out of your system,
it's never completely out of your system.
Ever go back? Do you ever get to go back?
Yeah, they're called acid flashbacks.
There are
no, not that. I mean, like, do you ever get to be normal again after ingesting that amount?
People think you don't get to see the world the way it was before you did acid if you've only done it once. Like, but my point to all that is it's
true.
Yeah, I don't know. I've never done it. I'm afraid. But my point to all that is that these guys are fucking around with stuff that they don't quite understand, and they're getting an unlimited budget to do so. And so that's kind of what they were doing with this. And I feel like they're just paying these guys to lay on a fucking couch and dream about Mars. Which
sign me up.
I mean, it does sound pretty dope, especially after boot camp.
I'm just gonna take a nap real quick.
Yeah, they're all
I'm astral projecting. Don't worry.
Hey, check it out. Charlie said, the last book I just finished was a stir of echoes, all about hypnotism gone wrong. And the dude discovers he was this weird kind of medium. He can feel people's energy, hear their thoughts, and even predict events that will happen. Kind of a cool, what does he say? Also throw in a ghost trapped in his house that needs his help. It kind of fits a little bit with this, like being able to like unknowingly tap into some psychic energy.
Yeah. I mean, like we talked about in the very beginning of this, there's some people who have it and are familiar with it and are able to use it and tap into it and exploit it, and some people who have it and have no idea that they have it and don't want it. And there's some, I mean, it's a spectrum.
Yeah.
And I think
totally.
I think when you're younger, it's a lot more you don't know you can't, so you don't.
That's why they say like children see ghosts, because like they're not closed off to it. Same kind of shit.
Wasn't that group with Kid Cudi and Kanye West? It was Kids See Ghosts?
Maybe. Also, probably weird reference, but do you remember in Quantum Leap? They could all see him as children and animals could see him as he actually was. Sam as he actually was. Yeah. They're more open to it.
Yeah. So, food for thoughts. So anyway, this guy, he sees a lot of a bleak dystopia. They asked him to go back in time, so he went back in time. He said things get harder to see because it's fading in and out, and he reports seeing large piles of dirt appearing and disappearing. He said there's structures and that he sees they are megalithic, which means they're fucking huge, but they look like a monolith. And one of the things he said he sees reports of shadow of people, very tall, very thin. What he can't see them, so they ask him to travel back further and staying in the same location. So they said, okay, you can see the shadows of these people, meaning they were there. But he can't communicate with these people, so they said, go back further. We want to know more about it. A lot of the problem with this is that when you're looking at something that you're not familiar with, like say the surface of Mars 1 million years before you were born, roughly. Things you do know tend to take precedence over things you don't know. So your brain's trying to piece together information. Like that's what peripheral vision is. Yeah. It's just your brain piecing together information and being like, hey, you don't need to worry about this over here. I'm just going to fill it in.
Yeah.
And
that's how a lot of car accidents happen, like pulling out of your own driveway, because your brain fills in the empty street you've seen 1 million times when you're pulling out, and you get
Wisconsin
T-boned
nailed
by
it. Overlays.
Yeah.
Fucking overlays. And that's what they're called, is overlays. So
say that again.
Overlays.
What?
That's what they're called.
No, I got the word.
F in Wisconsin? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's who mentioned it in the chat. Username is F in Wisconsin.
Okay, I missed like the first half of that sentence. Sorry,
no
get
worries.
us derailed.
But yeah, that's it. They're called overlays, and that's when you're thinking about one thing and your brain superimposes something that you do know and are familiar with over the top of it.
Charlie said it's kind of like how your brain filters out your nose. Like
Exactly.
You're looking at your nose all the time, but you don't ever see it.
Exactly.
Unless you think about it and you're like, oh, fuck, it's always there.
I can always see it.
Also, when you realize you're breathing in manual mode, fucking hate that shit.
What if I forget to, though?
So he travels back further in time, staying in the same location. This is where he reported it breaking up like static on a line. So he's kind of fading in and out of being actually in the location.
So when I, not to interrupt, but I'm going to, when I was listening to that Coast to Coast episode this morning, the guy kind of talks about that, how it kind of feels like a staticky television when you start to kind of
where you focus
separate.
hard enough and you can see the picture, but without, it's like I've heard it described like those seeing eye things where you like hold it far enough back and relax your eyes and then you can see the pony. Mm-hmm. Kind of like that, where you kind of have to focus on not what's around it, but what isn't there.
Yeah.
And you can, I mean, I've seen a bunch of people describe it different ways, but I do remember that where he says it comes through like static like that.
Yeah.
And that's where my brain took it, was to when you're fucking with the rabbit ears on top and you're like, come on. And it fades in and out and until you get it in just the right spot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, overlays are a thing, and that's very, very astute of you, because I was just getting to that. They moved they kept him in the same time period and had him move to another physical location. He mentions that there's large canyons so high that he thought it was originally a cave. So he's standing there and he's looking up, and it looks like they come together and make it a cave because the walls of the canyon are so steep, and that it's, he can't see daylight looking up, which is fucking wild to me. That's just huge. And so
It's dope.
Yeah, everything he's mentioned has just been fucking huge so far. And he said the walls of the canyons appear to be carved, but with no intricacies. So it's not like that he can see, not like he can see tool marks or anything like that where they've gone through and actually chiseled away at it. So they have him kind of move locations. He sees what he describes as a large obelisk, and he said he was reporting a Washington Monument overlay. So, the big tall Washington Monument, that's what he's seeing. And he knows, like, obviously the Washington Monument can't be here on Mars 1 million years BC, more than 1 million years BC. So it's got to be something similar to that. But that's what my brain is putting out there. It's the Washington Monument. That's what I'm seeing. So yeah, his brain just was like, close enough. And so they move him around a little more. He says he at one point he was in a circular basin with a mountain range all the way around that was, quote, very, 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 very large. And he said the scale seems to be off.
He's very, very, very descriptive.
That's the thing. Some of the stuff that they ask for is like general information. So they would ask him to just shout out like things that they were feeling. A lot of circles and everything's kind of green, and like just shout it out, put that information out there to get it out. And maybe, putting it out there will help you visualize it and hone in on what you are actually seeing. But he said the scale seems to be off. Everything is very big. He said, I'm unable to locate anything other than, quote, a right angle corner to something. So he sees a sharp 90-degree angle to something, but he doesn't know what it is. They moved him around a little more. He said he found clusters of squares up and down. It's like you want to make them square anyway. And they are made of something, quote, very white or that reflects light. And then he says... And I like the way they do these transcripts because they put every little and stuff like that. So he goes, sun is weird. and shit like that always tickles me because I'm like, yeah, guy's on a fucking foreign planet looking at the sun. It probably looks way different.
Yeah.
Especially with the atmosphere being, 90% rust. So, that would probably fuck everything up. He said there's something that he can't quite perceive. It's like a radiating pattern of some kind, like roads dug into valleys. Real neat channels cut. They're very deep. And then he said at this point he starts to get what the monitor called nulled out a bit, quote, electrically. After he regained his focus, they moved him around a little more. He said he saw more carved channels like an aqueduct, as well as pointed tops of something on the horizon. He said, but the horizon looks funny and weird, like different, misty, like it's really far away, very vague, for whatever that's worth. They said he reported seeing pyramids, but he can't tell if they're an overlay or not because they're different somehow. So it makes me wonder if what his different pyramids that he saw were more like the Mayan temples, where they weren't exactly pyramids, but they were still pyramid shaped and stepped.
Like stepped instead of
and possibly a little more ornate.
Eddie asked, how do they move around? Do they all float?
The
Like the people who are projecting, is it all like a floating, or do they, like, when they get there, do they walk around? Is it different for different people?
To be honest, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know
Gaddy.
why you'd walk if you could just float. That's fucking stupid.
Well, maybe it's about the journey and not the destination. But
If you could fly, why would you walk?
because it would still be considered exercise.
I mean, like, if you could fly, though, maybe it wouldn't be as fun, and walking's more interesting at that point.
Like I said, some of the stuff's really spiritual though. So like some of it's used for vision quests, especially in Native American rituals and stuff like that. Some of the hallucinogenics that they had, but also some of the spiritual ceremonies that
Smoking
they had.
the peace pipe?
Well, some of that, yeah, but some of it was also just being at one with yourself and looking within yourself and being really self-introspective and stuff like that, and being able to separate your spiritual self from your physical self, and then allowing one to wander and learn and taste of the fruits of the universe or whatever. But there's also the whole psychedelic aspect of it that I think we came along and fucked with when the 50s hit, and accidentally made San Francisco groovy in the 60s and 70s, ruined the inner city in the 80s and 90s, and the Middle East in the 2000s. So, job CIA. Real good job. We're all fucking cheering for you.
Woo, drugs.
USA.
See that? War on drugs. Drugs like to give it up for drugs, who clearly won the war on drugs.
Victory.
So he said, I'm sorry, hold on, make sure I'm in the right spot. Yeah, vague horizon. They moved him around some more. He said the subject report. Oh, I'm sorry, I never answered Eddie's question. I don't know how they move around, but I like to think it's more of like a loading screen, where the destination, you have the coordinates, you know where you're going, and it's just, again, like tuning in the TV, but it's a loading screen, and as you're loading, the picture gets more clear, and as you get there, boom, you're there, and that's the quality that you have, and that's how you see everything. I don't know for certain. I've never done it. I've never been able to do it. I can't do it.
I like the theory.
That's the best I got. I mean, I'm not a smart man, but I appreciate it. No need to finish that. So
Love you, Greg.
Yeah, no, it's all love. I understand. It's fine. So he said he reports seeing pyramids, but he can't tell if they're overlays or not because they're different. He said they're huge with an inside and an outside, so they're hollow. And he said they're shelters from a storm. At least that's what they're designed for. They asked him to go inside one, and he said they're stripped of any kind of furnishings or anything that they would be functional for. He said it looks like they're good for sleeping. No, that's not a good word. Hibernations, some form. I can't get raw real inputs. Storm, savage storm, and sleeping through storms. So it sounds like he found bomb shelters. He said very tall, again, very large people, but they're thin. They look thin because of their height and dress like in, oh hell, it's like real light silk, but it's not flowing type of clothing. It's like cut to fit. And they asked him to move closer and try and communicate with them.
In a fucking silk suit.
Yeah, well,
sounds kind of nice.
I was gonna say, I'm thinking of more. Again, this is the 80s. I'm thinking of more like a silk romper, like the full pants romper type thing but it's very
like
tight.
A onesie?
Yeah, like a onesie, but silk and form fitting.
But it's silk, but silver somehow.
Yeah, exactly. It's sleek. I mean, Valiant Thor's was silk-like, and it was pink-ish. It had a pinkish hue to it, but it was bulletproof, drill-proof, fire-proof, smush-proof. It was fucking cool. They tested it. Laser-proof, too, I believe.
Smush-proof.
Yeah, they tried to they tried to crush his suit.
That's the technical
Still stuck
term.
on,
Well, I
stuck on that one.
What do you call something that's smush proof? I mean,
Well, how do you prove if it's smush proof?
they fucking smushed it.
And it didn't.
Nothing happened.
Didn't.
It took its shape
It
back.
doesn't wrinkle.
Yeah, it took
at all.
it took its shape back. It was
Every
yeah.
housewife's dream.
And it was what it is it was cool because it didn't have any like clasps or buttons or anything. It's like you just were in it.
Jump in.
Kind of. I picture like you get a new one every 6 months and you have to
When
shed
your
the
valiant Thor suit wears you.
Like
I think-
someone just hold it open.
That's what I pictured. Just like feet first.
Yeah, like you get in through the neck hole or something, and then like what was that show with David Putty, Patrick Warburton, The Tick?
Fine.
How his suit didn't have any like holes or
Seams,
anything
yeah.
or seams. Yeah, like that's what I picture. It was like that, but pink. So yeah, that's where was I? Oh yeah, sleeping through storms. Tall people cut to fit. They asked him to move closer and try to communicate with them, and the son of a bitch did it. The fucking mad lad went up there and communicated with these aliens. He said that they said that they were ancient people and they're dying, but they were very philosophical about it. They were cool with it. He said they were looking for a way out and a way to survive, but they just can't, and they're waiting for something to come along with an answer, something to return. He said the environment's so corrupt and failing rapidly, and a group went somewhere far away to find a new place to live. Now,
Did they look human-like at all? These creatures? Do we know?
He just said they're very tall and very thin. From what I understand, he's not getting a lot of very fine detail. He's getting a lot of general shapes. I mean,
Gotcha.
you know, it could be that he looks something like this, you know,
Okay.
with no detail at all.
Gotcha.
And it's like that, with no detail at all, and that it's just shapes and masses and shadows that he's seeing move around. Ow, fuck. I'm fine. So yeah, they asked him to communicate. He said they were trying to find a new place to live. From here is where it gets a little weird. Things get fucky.
From here.
Yeah, from here. The subject asked about the cause of the corruption, and when the monitor asked him to describe what he sees, he said the subject said, a picture of like, oh hell, it's almost a warp and a, oh god, this is difficult. And the guy said, okay, well, can I get the raw data? And he said, okay, oh, I get a globe. It's like a globe that goes through a comet's tail, or it's through a river of something, but it's all very cosmic. It's like space pictures. Which seems like a pretty cool description. It sounds like a badass screensaver.
This guy was on acid.
It sounds like a fucking cool screensaver, if you ask
Yeah.
me.
Just a globe passing through a comet's tail.
Back and forth, and the world dies, and then grows back, and then goes back through and dies and grows back. Yeah, man, that'd be fucking badass.
Intense, man.
Fucking badass. So they asked the subject to ask the individual where he is and how he can help. And now he's trying to intervene on an interplanetary historical scale, which seems irresponsible if you're time traveling.
Yeah.
It's just
Very.
Go step on that
Very.
butterfly, quick.
Oh, I wish I hadn't sat on that fish. So the individual says that they perceive the subject as, quote, just a hallucination. So these guys are like tripping. They're seeing this guy, and they're like, oh, so we're just tripping out because the whole planet's dying. This is just a hallucination. Don't entertain it. He's like, no, I'm a guy. And they're like, are you though?
I think.
I feel like one. They said that there's just nothing that can be done, and they just kind of have to sit there and wait for their inevitable end. He asked about where the others went. They said what was described was pretty fucking. He said it was metal, and it looked like it was the inside of a big boat, very rounded walls and shiny metal. The subject was encouraged to go along with him on their journey, and what he saw was, quote, the impression of a really crazy place with volcanoes and gas pockets and strange plants, a very volatile place, very much like from going in the frying pan to into the fire. Difference is there seems to be a lot of vegetation where the other place did not have it, a different kind of storm. So he sounds like he went to some fucking strange ass alien planet.
Or hell.
I don't know. Does hell have plants? What lives on brimstone?
No,
Like
hell's not real. I was just kidding.
spoil sport. So they brought him back to the present time again, May 22nd, 1984, and the interview ends. That's that's the end of it, dude.
He was taken to the gulag and shot behind the ear.
Tell anybody what you were gonna see here? What? No.
Did that guy leave? Do we have?
What do
Did
you
he
mean?
die after that?
No, he just.
Did they really kill him?
No, they reused him for more
okay.
experiments and stuff like that.
That's just my part of the story. That's what
Yeah, Jesse likes to. Well, because
I'm sure he did die.
I think
under
the
suspicious
.5s.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Jesse has a vendetta against .5s, and I don't know why.
It's not a vendetta against them. It's just a theory that they are expendable. That's why they were given .5 numbers.
They're the alternates, the .5s. I get it. So that was the CIA exploring Mars some 36 odd years ago. It's only 36 years ago that they were like, dude, we can mind fuck people to Mars.
Now we're like, we'll just send robots.
Yeah, Elon Musk
Seems
is
much safer.
Elon Musk is like, yeah, I'm gonna send a car. So Jesse, I know you said you have something for us.
I got a little something.
Yeah, and then we'll get some astral projection results from the chat, and then that'll be it. That's that with that. This went way longer than I expected it to, but it's been fun.
I feel like that happens when the four of us are together.
That's
You guys talk a lot. It's just
I know.
just kidding.
Fucking chatterbox.
That's
then.
why you're here.
All right.
Okay,
so hold on 1 second. I just want to remind everybody we are going to get some astral projection results. The things, the things you were writing down were a shape, a number 1 through 20, a location like a state, and a letter. So think about it, and then we'll get them after Jesse's done here.
Make it happen.
Do it.
Okay, so I picked a couple of these that I found interesting. There was a list of bizarre out-of-body experiences that turned into actual case studies.
Oh, you're on topic.
Yeah, by Laura Martisichutu. Sorry. This is allthat'sinteresting.com. So the two I selected was one is a little older, one is fairly recent. So these are just like people with out-of-body experiences where either a doctor or a scientist was like, all right, we're going to actually take this. So they're very brief, but you guys can do your own research if you want. First one is called Mrs. Z. In 1968, Dr. Charles Tart, professor of psychology at the University of California, Davis, studied an anonymous woman, later named Miss Z, who could supposedly leave her body at will. The study consisted of placing a random number, in this case the number 5, on a shelf above the bed in which the woman slept. The woman was tasked with self-inducing an OBE, checking the number, and then reporting the number to Dr. Tart and his team upon her awakening. The number was chosen after Ms. Z had gone to sleep. It was written down and brought to Dr. Tart in an opaque envelope. Dr. Tart remained in the same room as the woman to ensure that she did not get up and check the number during the study. Dr. Tart was stunned when Ms. Z woke up from her sleep and correctly stated the number on the shelf. At first, he thought that perhaps the number was reflected on some sort of reflective surface present in the room. However, the only surface reflective object in the room was a clock face. Dr. Tart and his assistant both lied down on the bed and tried to see whether it was possible to take out the number on the clock. Both Dr. Tart and his assistant concluded that the number was not visible in the clock face in the dim lighting of the room. Dr. Tart's description of Miss Z could perhaps explain why she experienced OBEs. So there was another part that I read about this lady. Like, she didn't do this just once. She did this like same shit. Like, she did it a ridiculous amount of times. But his final observations were this: my informal observations of her over a period of several months, undoubtedly distorted by the fact that one can never describe one's friends objectively, he knew her personally, resulted in a picture of a person who in some ways was quite mature and insightful, and in other ways was extremely disturbed psychologically, that at times when she lost control, she could possibly be diagnosed as schizophrenic. So there's like his like brief, I read it when I had the short one. I went and read a much longer one, and he has a case study. He essentially was saying like they could be connected. Like somebody who's schizophrenic might be schizophrenic because they have this power that they don't know.
Interesting.
They think that's the voices that they think
Right,
they hear
like-
is the other speaking to them.
Right. And he was like he was, this is nothing official. That's what he was just saying. Like these two things seem to coincide with her quite well. Okay, this second one is called Psych Student. In 2014, researchers at the University of Ottawa studied the brain activity of a 24-year-old Canadian woman and a student of psychology who claimed that she could leave her body at will. The woman asserted that she had learned how to leave her physical body behind when she was bored with sleep at preschool. So they were like, oh, it's nap time. And she was like, fuck this. I'm just going to astral project out this motherfucker.
And that's why you can walk. Because she was just a little girl going for a walk. She doesn't need to fly away and get too far from her body. She had to bring that spiritual self back. She was responsible with it.
So after attending a lecture on OBE, she was surprised to discover that not everybody could leave their bodies whenever they pleased, and approached her lecturer to discuss the matter further. The woman claimed that she usually had an OBE right before falling asleep. I mean, this is sounds like a lucid dream to me. And that in fact, leaving her body helped her fall asleep. During an OBE, she would sometimes feel herself rotating above her physical body. I feel myself moving, or more accurately, can feel myself feel as if I am moving. I know perfectly well that I am not actually moving. There is no duality of body and mind when this happens. Not really. In fact, I am hypersensitive to my body at that point because I am concentrating so hard on the sensation of moving. Researcher Claude Messier and the paper's co-author Andrea M. Smith interviewed the woman and had her undergo a brain scan during her self-induced OBE. What they discovered was that during the self-induced OBE, the woman's brain activations were confined to her left side, which is unusual because when most people imagine things or scenarios, both sides of the brain are active. In addition, the woman's visual cortex was deactivated, which was also strange because it is typically activated when one imagines something happening in their head. The researchers came to the conclusion that OBEs need to be studied further before more conclusive interpretation can be drawn. Obviously, the main limitation of this study was the researchers' reliance on participant reporting her experience truthfully. However, it is believed that the phenomenon might be more widespread than we believe. It is quite possible that those who possess the unique ability do not find it remarkable in any way and thus choose not to share it with others. It is also possible that we all possess this ability as children but lose it as we grow older. So she didn't realize it, that not everybody does this until college. It's just one of those things you do that you're like, wait, I'm the only one that
now I feel kind of bad for talking shit about that dude saying he can astral project at 4 years old.
Well, I mean, but it's I understand what you no sympathy. No, I understand what you're saying about not wanting to say anything about it because you don't think it's a remarkable thing. I feel more of that would probably be you don't say anything about it because people are going to be like, you're fucking crazy. Especially after a certain age. When you're a little kid and you're like, oh my God, I could leave my body and go play on the playground while everybody's napping. So kids are going to be like, oh, neat. And when you're an adult and you're like, man, I'm fucking bored at work. I'm just going to leave my body for a little bit and maybe go hit the gym. Maybe grab a pint and fucking head back. And they're like, you're a nutcase. You're completely fucking insane.
Do you think that if we do possess the ability as small children, could we forget that we even had the ability to do it at one point?
Absolutely, I would think so. I mean, it makes sense to me because you close the door.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's also easy to brush it off as your imagination. Oh yeah, totally. It's imagining that, or you have kid, vague memories. You're like, yeah, I didn't actually do that, but I had, because honestly, when I was a kid, I remember I used to have this Tonka truck that I used to push and pretend I'd steer. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it was whatever, 50% of the time it veered the direction that I was steering it. But in my mind, I was like, whoa, did you fucking see what I just did?
I did that with my mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Stay tuned. I'm going to do it again. But see, that was Uri Geller. When he was a child, he knew he could do it. And I think he had a grandma who was sensitive the same way. So she kind of helped nurture the gift and was like, look, this is fucking incredible. And for a lot of his life, he was.
So you just need a gypsy grandma.
He was in the public eye, getting that kind of feedback. People are like, this is incredible. This kid can bend spoons. Holy shit. So, and it's kind of the same thing with Ingo Swann. These rich debutantes were having these elaborate parties in San Francisco in the 70s, and they're like, bring the fucking weird guy that moves things with his mind and can, tell us how many fingers I'm holding up. And so, that was how they got the introduction into all this stuff. But out-of-body experiences are a very freaky thing. They're a very freaky thing. I always liked Nikki Sixx's story about out-of-body experiences when he said...
Because he died, right?
A couple times.
Yeah.
But one of the times he died, he said he'd gotten out of the hospital after a heroin overdose, and then injected more heroin, died, and then when they had him on the stretcher taking him out, he was watching it all happen from above the ambulance. He said when they put the adrenaline needle in his heart, he fucking back into his body and sat up and was like, yo! And I'm like, well, that's very Pulp Fiction, but
yeah.
But yeah, that's, the fucking crazy thing. Like having an out-of-body experience with looking at yourself third person like that. I've never had anything like that happen.
Where
Me
does
either.
like deja vu fall in under that? Because like I know that like I've had deja vu before where I've literally saw myself like doing like I feel like I've watched myself do that exact same thing. So like does that have anything to do with that like this or something?
I think
don't-
Greg has a fantastic theory on
I
deja
just
vu.
have. It's not fantastic. It's just a theory. I do believe that deja vu. I don't think anybody knows what deja vu really is. It's just a feeling that you get. It's just a weird thing. But I personally believe that every decision you make splits timelines, and there's a timeline that exists where you made this decision, and there's a timeline and I mean like literally everything. There's a timeline where you didn't get out of bed this morning, and there's a timeline where you did, and your conscious mind, your astral self sticks to the timeline that has the greatest chance of survival. And I think deja vu is either a reset, or not a reset, but like a checkpoint that you hit, and your astral self is like, nope, we're doing this instead. I kept my finger on the page. I didn't when you used to like read ahead in the little
Goosebumps, choose your own
Yeah.
adventures.
the choose your own adventure books when you flip ahead and be like, nope, no, my finger was still on the page. I'm going this way instead.
I'm not going to ride the headless horseman's horse into the wall and die.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's either that or it's where the timelines cross where you would have done that thing anyway. So, I got up out of bed. I got deja vu while I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth because you were going to brush your teeth at that point in time anyway. You were just going to go back to bed, but instead you chose to keep going, and that's where your conscious mind went. And so that's kind of what I think deja vu is. I don't have anything, like obviously no scientific evidence to back it up because,
I think it's a great theory.
because
I
I can't
love
get
it.
the fucking funding, but that's just my theory.
Try to get the CIA to sponsor you.
I don't want to work with them.
Also, guys, make sure you use your Amazon Prime subscriptions to subscribe to Hella Greg Live.
Give me the funding.
Let's do these astral projections, bro. There's a guess in chat.
Oh yeah. I saw a couple come through. Okay, so let me take a look. Courtney guessed 19, Minnesota, a V and an octagon. Okay, 11 S oval, and Florida. Okay. Montana 16 H and Pentagon. All right. What else you guys got?
Hexagon 17 Idaho W.
Hexagon 17 Idaho W.
I have a heart for California L.
Okay.
Okay, I have a diamond, Colorado 7 and Y.
All right. So somebody got hexagon. I think it was you got hexagon.
Yeah.
Yeah, hexagon was the shape. The number was 18.
I said 17.
I believe John got Montana,
Montana.
and the letter was X.
Not even
I don't
close.
think
One
anybody
letter
got that.
away. I was one letter,
That's
one number
why.
away, dude.
Yeah. So that's what it was. I
Almost
mean,
there.
some of you who got close, and if you feel like you actually saw something, foster that gift. Foster that gift.
Maybe even adopt it.
Yeah. Learn about yourself. Be introspective with it. All right. That's pretty much everything I've got for tonight. Ladies, anything you want to add? Anything you want to say?
Nope.
No, follow
Thank
me
you
on
for
Instagram.
having me.
Yeah, no
Us.
problem.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. Absolutely. You guys are welcome back anytime. Lindsay, you want to give out your Instagram so they can follow you?
Yeah, Callaway Hair Co. Please
Boom.
follow me.
Boom.
Need the endorsement deals.
From, what was it, Costco?
Yeah, Costco.
John Costco, get on this, brother.
I'm still working on that Costco endorsement deal. Yeah.
Hell yeah. Jesse?
Perfectlycromulentjesse.com or Cromulent Jesse on the socials.
That is it. And I'm Greg again at hellagregLIVE everywhere. You know how to find me. This is the last time I'll be streaming on Facebook and YouTube. I'll put the videos up there so people can find it. And then there's going to be a podcast that comes out Thursdays. Check your iTunes or whatever. It's all going to be there. I don't know if Chris is here or not, but I'm going to throw another alley-oop to Jesse to make up for the one from last week. Yeah, hope you stretch, bud. That makes it so worth it. I can't do it. We don't have the dunk cam. We don't have the dunk cam. Never mind. I'll get it figured out.
Next time.
Yeah, we'll get it figured out. We'll do 2 dunks next time. All right, that's pretty much it. Thanks, everybody. Bye. Oh, yeah, see you next Tuesday.
This has been another presentation from Super Network.